Broadcasting from the Warrior Garden Studios, Hoodlum Ministry, Ghost Pro Studios presents the Where You At podcast.
This is the Where You At podcast.
Yo, good evening. I pray that everybody is blessed. My name is Angel Ray. This is the Where You At podcast. This evening, we have a special episode. I'm sitting here with a brother of mine, John. He was sent to us through someone that he knew. He's got a story to tell, and he wants to bring some awareness about some things. And John, I'll let you take the floor, my brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I thank you for the time y'all give me and to do this.
No doubt.
I kind of just want to touch a little bit on my story and kind of what I'm going through as a father. Trying to go through a divorce is kind of a hard thing,
Yes.
Especially as parents and as children. And to navigate that is a very difficult thing. It makes it extra hard when the other parent don't co-parent. And it tries to alienate you from your kids. And I'm just here today to kind of draw some awareness to my situation and touch that other people go through the similar things,
Yes.
And but to start off with, my whole situation, I got divorced in 2020. I left after cheating and emotional abuse. It just got to the point where I was done, and so I had left. After that, we went to the divorce court, and she started campaigns smearing me and saying these things that aren't true with no evidence to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
And people believed it, like and I understand, because you don't know unless you know. You only know what people tell you unless you're in that situation,
Would you agree that in society nowadays, the man is painted a lot of times as the bad guy?
Yeah, yes, sir. I could say that because of the situation I've been in individually, and you hear about this happen all throughout situations across the United States of people going through this. It's hard for the fathers. The fathers miss out a lot of time. It hits their pocketbook. It's a multiple level thing that fathers have to go through. And to sit there as a father and have to worry about your kids because you're no longer in that home, it's hard. It's hard mentally, emotionally. You've always been there. You're active dad, and then all of a sudden, like one allegation could strip you away from your kids, and it's just hard to believe.
So, when's the last time you spoke with your children?
I just recently got unsupervised visits back.
Okay.
And so that just started in May, and they kind of had me on a step program. This all started when we first split up. She would call the cops on me every time I picked up the kids.
Yeah.
And make allegations. The cops would check everything out, was nothing there, and they let me go. I never got in trouble for anything. But it was difficult every time I seen the kids. That's what the kids had to go through.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And a lot of times parents, I tell you, like we might get in our feelings and fight amongst each other. The children love both parents equally.
Right.
They do. You know, and so whenever, because I grew up seeing that too, you know what I mean? Domestic violence with my mother, Lord rest her soul, and my stepfather and even my dad, so I was, I've been that child on that end, it's, it is damaging to the children also, you know what I mean? And
you carry that with the rest of your life.
Yeah, you do. And so, like, you have this distorted idea of what love may be or what you think love is. No parent wants their kids to grow up thinking that is normal.
Right.
Right.
No, if you truly love your kids, you want the best for your kids.
That's right.
And even though you can't get along with somebody, you can set that aside for them.
Yes.
And if keeping your mouth shut and not causing a fight goes a long way.
Yes.
For those kids, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just an effort into being cordial and just co-parent.
Oh yeah. Respect's definitely got to be there, man. So the kids don't feel burdened.
Right.
So at this point, you've been fighting for 4 years up to this point.
Yes, sir.
So where does everything stand right now?
Right now, back in last year, my kids actually came to my house and had marks on them.
Wow.
And they had fingerprint marks of where my daughter would have been held down, and my son had faded marks on his back and or on his butt. And at this point, there was supposed to be like no corporal punishment, you know what I mean, from the kids, because of these reasons. And we had it in the court paperwork. Well, I took the kids down to CPS when I was able to get them. So not only did time go by when this incident happened, I didn't get the kids until a certain time, and then I had to take them to CPS. So all that time, because I called CPS, but they said to bring them up there, and they would interview them. But so they never went and checked on them, so I brought them up there. But with all that time, the kids didn't want to speak out against their mother, and it puts them in a situation where they've been going through this, and so they get silent. And so the marks were gone, and so they said it wasn't well, the marks weren't completely gone, but they said it wasn't excessive, and it wasn't continuous, so they couldn't do nothing.
Wow.
So I every time I go to a visit, they put me on supervised visits. Because she made allegations that I was smoking around the kids marijuana, which was complete lies. There was no evidence, and the reason I say that is because every other time she called the cops on me. You know what I mean? There was nothing there.
Yeah.
Why didn't she call the cops those 3 times that she's accusing me and instead? And you know what I mean? It's because it wasn't working that way, so she did it without the the cops.
She's using the system to her advantage at her leisure,
right?
You know, and I don't know if you've ever tried to fight for your kids in the state of Texas.
It's rough.
Yeah,
it's an uphill battle. I promise.
Especially you know for a man, you know.
Well, and it's not just Texas. That's
I think
across that's across the U.S.
Yeah. Your story is not unique.
No, sir. No, sir.
And that's the sad part. People abuse the system.
Yes.
Be it elder abuse, child abuse. There are people that know how to game the system, especially ones that are well connected.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yes, sir.
You know, it reminds me of this story that I saw. It popped up on TikTok. Probably about a year ago. This gentleman, great father, he was actually spending more time with his child than what was in the court order. He was paying extra on child support. They held him in contempt and put him in jail and sentenced him to 180 days.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Those are the type of stories of why. You want to ask, like, people hear things, and those are the ones that make you want why.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of have a similar case of why my case is, it makes you wonder why they chose that or why they decide the way they decide.
Yeah.
In my case, they held me in contempt of court for 90 days probationary period for her allegation with no proof. And so they found me guilty, put me on supervised visit.
So why did they hold you into contempt for?
Because she said that I brought the kids home, brought the kids back to her smelling like marijuana. So they held me in contempt on her word only with no evidence.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so the abuse, where was the abuse of the children coming from?
Well, she was allowing it, and it was from her boyfriend.
Okay.
And what's crazy is the next time it happened, the school called.
Wow.
So the school calls in November of 23.
So there's definite record of all this.
This is multiple outcries. Yeah. So the November of 23 comes around, the school calls. They go out there and investigate. I don't get a phone call about what's going on until the day after they close the case from CPS. They didn't even call me during the case.
Wow.
That's how shut out I've been in this whole process.
Wow.
I haven't been heard. I haven't been listened to. It's been one-sided, and I don't understand. And like I said, I'm not the only one going through this. And so when we go through this kind of beat you down, you don't know what to do, and you don't know where to turn. Like you're fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah,
you know?
I remember the first conversation we had, man, and you know that emotional state that you got in, man. I understand. You know, when you're fighting for your children and you feel like the whole world is against you because you know you're the father, and you know dad's always the bad guy. You know, it's a hard place to be, man. It's a hard place to be. You feel like your hands are tied, and
can't be there for your kids. That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Knowing what my kids went through, and I can't even be there for them emotionally or physically for support. You know what I mean? It's hard to live with.
Yes, because children definitely need their father.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
and children are innocent, man. Like they can't defend themselves,
Right.
and they depend on us as parents to protect them, teach them, love them, guide them,
Yes.
etc. And when there's a separate home, when homes get split like that, and you can't co-parent, and you got outside influences that are negative in your kids, it turns into a pretty nasty situation.
Yes.
And if we don't change that, that affects the kids in the long term.
Oh yeah.
And it's about them. If they stay in that home and they don't do nothing about that charge, you know what I mean? And he goes back into that home, you're telling those kids that, well, the mom can't get in trouble. They're not charging him for it. So if anything happens, I can't say nothing because
it's their voice don't matter.
They cancel those kids' voice right there.
That's terrible.
If for the possibility, like if you look at statistics, I believe it's like 50. No, I think it's closer to like 75% of kids that go back into an abusive home, they go through trauma again.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you have a loving father that's done nothing but tell the truth, has fought for what's right for their kids, and has been active since day one, and the kids love their father, for you not to let him take care of his kids, and it's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and here's a startling statistic, right? So based on 2022 data alone, 40% of mistreated children are mistreated by their mother or
Wow.
someone the mother knows. So not necessarily the father, that 60% of the time. That's the part that's misleading.
right.
And that's what you hear about all the time, right? The media and the narrative is that we don't need a nuclear family. Single mama's got it. They can handle all this. Some can.
Right.
But many can't. And so we've broken down the family to where the community sees what's going on, but their hands are tied. Because issues like you pointed out, where your outcries for help for your kids aren't heard because she's screaming louder. Or they're just being ignored because you're just another number in the system that's overburdened.
Right.
And that's another problem we have.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And I definitely agree with that. They try to run these cases through as quick as possible because there is a fluctuation of cases, and I really don't think a lot of them get looked through or given enough time. You know what I mean? Even in my court case, I'm given so much time. I have more evidence and more witnesses, and it just, I don't feel like I have. You get enough time to get all that out there. You know, and back to the child abuse thing, in my kid's situation, December 23rd come around, and his son goes back to his mom, and he's hurt, and
the guy that's doing the abuse.
And his son goes back to his mom, and he's covered from middle of his back down to past his down to his lower legs of bruises.
Wow.
She called the cops. The got a report, got in touch with CPS. Her son had told everybody, all of us, that there was a rock in the washer, and his dad had got mad, and nobody would admit to it because nobody knew whose it was. You know what I mean? It was probably from playing and got thrown in the wash. It fell out in the washer. No big deal. Well, nobody would admit to it, so he lined them up, all three boys, on the wall, and ended up beating them until he was holding them forcibly against the ground, and gave them 18 licks with some kind of something was in his hand. It wasn't his hand, and I'm not sure if it was a board,
like some kind of paddle,
or some sort of like that. And so she had took pictures. Well, I called CPS, and they told me that it was a holiday that nobody could get out there and do nothing about it. Is exactly what they told me.
Get out of here, bro.
Well, the cops went out there to talk to her. She wouldn't work with them, and they never really got to check the kids. And so CPS didn't get involved for one week and 1 day, and then they took him up to the bridge. Well, by that time, there's no physical evidence for for my sons, and so they took all 3 interviews. All 3 interviews are the same. They all saying the same thing, but there's no physical evidence. Well, they're not charging him with my 3 sons' abuse, but they charged him with his son's abuse because there's pictures. But the testimonies are all the same, and there was pictures of that kid for the whole week that they dropped the ball. She took pictures of the progress of the bruises, and they would be dissipating about the time they got involved, and so there wasn't enough evidence. She was actually, when the cops came and talked to her about it to begin with, she denied on body cam that it even happened, that it was all a lie, that it never happened.
Wow.
Yeah, well, we go to court.
Uh-huh.
We go to court in May over this because I got into court in January. They put a restraining order on him. This year. Okay. Put a restraining order on him, and we went to court in May over this. And so she admitted to it on stand that she allowed it. She found, didn't think it was excessive. It's all in transcripts. Didn't think it was excessive. They showed the pictures, no empathy, no remorse. It was shocking. It was shocking for me to sit there as a father, not even being asked about that, but knowing the pain that our kids went through, and for her to stand there and watch those kids scream and cry. It's hard because as a father, that's my job to protect them, Sorry, trying to hold it together.
You're good, brother. You're good, man.
As a father, you hear that story, your hands are tied because of society and law enforcement, but they're not doing. They dropped the ball on my kids, and now they have to live with that, and it's hard. She didn't get found in contempt for admitting to it after she lied about it. The judge did rule that she was only to have supervised visits by her mother only, and but he would allow CPS to further their safety plan if necessary, and CPS turned around and signed a new safety plan and gave her the kids back right after the day after court.
Wow.
Yeah, and I feel like as a father, I feel like my kids are being silenced to keep her out of trouble. There's too much evidence, man.
Yeah.
And I can only voice this and outcry and reach and try to let people know the truth. As a father, that's all I can do right now because I have the evidence. I'm just using my voice to get the truth out for them because I don't want them to have to grow up and continue living in that environment because they didn't charge them, so they're going to drop the restraining order. He's going to be moving that house, and now my kids have to relive through that. You know what I mean?
When are they dropping all that?
I actually the CPD actually did not file against him against my kids. They only filed against him with his own kids.
So he can't see his own kid no more.
Nope, sir.
So just so we're clear, his own kids, he can't have anything to do with.
Right, no contact whatsoever.
So are they still with your ex?
My kids are with my ex-wife. Yeah.
Okay, but his kids aren't.
Is with his ex.
With his ex.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. But I wanted to make sure that they weren't like over with your ex.
No,
in the interim.
No, sir.
That's just.
And to me that's what dumbfounds me as a father. I would be livid if this was my kid,
bro.
I'm living now too. You know what I'm
saying? Like,
I gotta watch what you say, right?
And I gotta sit here as a father. I got videos of how these supervised visits were going when she had to be the supervised. Because at the beginning, she tried to say that she was in fear for her life with me, and I don't have a record. I've never been in trouble. I'm an outgoing person. I've always try to do the right thing, even though I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. My heart's in the right spot, and she tried to make me out to be this bad guy, and then when they put me on supervised visits, she would only agree to them if she was a supervisor. So you're not showing any signs of trauma or being a victim in the relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what makes this even more comical, even though it's not funny.
Right.
It makes it like a little comical because
who's
the judge
letting this happen?
Yeah. Why? That's my biggest question. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Because when it comes to child abuse, that should be number one on punishment.
Well, and I'm not one for ripping a child from their parents.
No, no.
Right,
But,
right.
but in a case where you have someone who's indicted for child abuse and they shared a home with someone else with small children, even though those kids need to be protected.
Right.
Yes.
Oh,
From him.
Right. And she said in court that they were engaged now and that she's not going to leave him, and they just bought a house and that they're going to get married. So how is this going to work for my kids if they don't charge them and now they're getting married? Like, my kids are going to suffer for the rest of
Not necessarily. I mean, there's always measures.
Yes.
Right, you could try to
as a
take
father, right?
Yes.
In the court system, as broken as it is, whether it's be criminal defense or civil issues, the system is broken. The system is not geared to seek justice for you anymore. That's not
Right.
what it is.
No.
It
No.
hasn't been that for decades, and the statistics show that.
Yeah,
If you look at any state in the country, this is a common problem. Your story is not unique.
No. That's the
sad part.
problem. And,
Yeah.
Because I walked in, and the thing is, our system is supposed to be innocent till proven guilty. I walked in, I was guilty. They had no evidence. They found me guilty, and I couldn't prove my innocence. So
Wow.
I lost my kids because of no evidence. Like, the system is flip flop. Like, you have to prove your allegations, and then I just don't understand why they're holding me such a high level for no evidence, but they had no accountability for her. Like, why is she being protected? Why is she being treated differently than another person for child abuse? Or, you know what I mean? Especially once they admitted to it. You know what I mean? You already got caught lying in your own body cam and messages, lying about it, and then you admitted to it in court and no consequence.
Yeah.
And, like, the thing is, I'm not here to go after her. I'm not here for her to have hardship. I'm here to protect my kids, and I'm telling the truth. And in order for me to tell the truth, it's going to look bad on her. And I don't mean no harm towards her.
Right.
But accountability and the kids' safety are number one. And if you're going to stay with a man and over your kids after everything that's happened to them, they need to be with their father where they're safe, where they're protected, where they're loved. And she could still have a relationship. I'm not saying she could lose her rights or nothing like that.
Right.
But the kids' safety is number one.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to protect our kids against a person and you're going to defend that person and lie for that person, the kids will never be safe with her.
No.
Never. Because if you're going to go to that extreme now, what else are you lying, or who else are you going to protect down the road?
It irks me, bro, because there's cases that have happened like this, and they go to the worst end, and something happens to the kids.
Right.
You know what I mean?
People are reactive instead of proactive, and that's my biggest thing. Is people hear outcries and they wait until something bad happens to react, when there's been opportunities for the people that have been hearing these things to do stuff, and they don't react, and they allow it. And then guess what? Every action has a reaction.
Yes.
And if you don't do the right thing, the negative reactions are going to follow.
Yeah.
And now my kid's safety is at risk because of negative reactions.
So, you know, and big ups to you, brother, for coming here. You've never done this before. You're taking a stand for your children, for other men, people, and families that are in this situation, man.
Yes, sir.
And so, as a community, man, like, what can we do? Like, what can we do?
As a community, man, I'm just trying to bring awareness. Like I said, I'm a father, and so I hear a lot of father stories, but it's not a gender thing. It's an individual based thing, and there's mothers that go through it too. And I just want the community to know that these things are going on, and to lift the people up next to you. A lot of people don't know, and things won't change unless you bring it to the light. And that's my goal. As a father and going through this, I've been praying about this. and I've been going through a lot in my life. Throughout my whole life, I felt like I've been battling, you know? And I got to the point now that I feel like just being a voice for the people that don't feel like they have a voice, you know? I know the We the People org is a bunch of victims that are getting together and trying to make a difference. Where they're taking steps and they're reaching out, and if you're a victim of family court, CPS, anything like this, just know that you're not alone. There's a lot of us going through it, and to reach out and I'm willing. at the end of this, I can actually leave my phone number. If you want to reach out to me, you could text me, and then I can call you. We can set up a time, and I could call you. I can't change nothing, but what I can do is I can be an ear. I can be there. I can hear your story. I can help with resources. I can help with knowledge. I can be there for you to lean on. If everybody came together and they leaned on each other, we can make change and we can create change.
Yes.
You know, don't be afraid. It doesn't matter if you're going against the government or the court system, the police department. Don't be afraid to voice out, and please go look up that. And at the end, I'll get my number. And if you want to talk more about that, or we can touch on an individual basis and get to know each other. And I can do my part. I feel like if everybody did their part, we can do something for the greater good, and we can change our children's future, man. Because everything we do now is for a purpose.
Yes.
And you can't be stuck in the now. You got to think about the future, because if we really love our children, we have to do something now.
Yeah,
you know?
That's right. We have to take action now. We have to take a stand now. And, that's why I'm grateful, for Jennifer, that she reached out. I didn't even know that, she had came across podcasts and, what we do here. And, here we are,
It's all about talking and communicating with people, and then just networking and getting people together. That it changes.
Yes.
You just gotta.
So that's what I want to make sure everybody's crystal clear on. I know I'm not on camera, but we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights.
Yes.
One of those is to protect yourself and your family.
Yes.
And when government doesn't allow you to protect your children in a way that you see fit, you absolutely have a mechanism through the legal process to seek remediation of that. And you're doing that.
Yes, sir.
Right? You have a lawyer. You're spending tons of money. You're engaging with guys like me, a private investigator, because I hear your story and I hear a lot of other similar stories.
Yes.
The sad part is I can't help everybody for free,
Right.
but I'm also I'm also here to serve people of our community.
Yes.
And you're one of them.
Yes,
So
sir.
when I hear
Thank you.
what's going on, what I'm going to do is go back to the people I know who do open source intelligence on people, and I'm going to give them a list of names. And we're going to dig into everybody that may have misrepresented themselves, who may have not done their job. And that should be the wake-up call for the people who think all cops are bad or all cops are good, because there's not. We are unfortunately in a position where there are bad judges, there are bad cops, there are bad lawyers, there are even just plain old bad people.
Yes.
Right.
I've seen the face of evil in 100 different forms in this town alone
Yes, sir.
over the last 30 years. And unfortunately, I can't guarantee results, but I can guarantee you I'm going to start digging.
We're gonna try.
Right.
We're gonna
try.
We're gonna find if there's impropriety, we will bring it to light the best we can.
And it's like people like y'all and things like this that create that change for the better of the people. You know what I mean? The people, like, it's all these people are coming together because we've all been victims and we're all creating change. You know what I mean? It's taking the step. It's taking the step and putting your faith into action. You know what I mean? That will make the movement.
And this is the real tie-in to what this show's really about, right? It's about your
right. Yes, sir.
Angel meets people where they're at.
Yes.
We brought you here to tell your story because we know our God is bigger than all of this.
Yes.
So if it's His will, we're gonna make as much right as we can in this world while we're here. Because whether it just be telling the story, sometimes that's enough. Somebody may see this and go, "Oh crap, I know who that dude is, and he's right." They may come forward with information that helps you.
Yes.
Right.
And
yes, sir.
They don't even have to know names, and that's the great thing about this. You don't have to slander anybody, and we're not.
Right.
We're just telling your story.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing.
That's the
Over this course of all this, me telling the truth, people, the law enforcement came at me for telling the truth when saying, "Well, you're just going after her." I'm telling the truth. Like, the truth is not, just because you're telling the truth doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. And and they try to turn it into you telling the truth is something wrong and try to keep you from speaking up, you know?
Yeah.
And it happens all the time. They try to intimidate you to keep you from speaking up and etc. And man, as a father, I refuse to give up for my kids, and I will continue this fight. Growing up, my life as a kid, it wasn't easy. You know what I mean? It wasn't as bad as some others, but it wasn't easy. My mom pretty much raised her until she got with my stepdad now, and she got big in church. Her church is what really taught me about God. You know,
Hallelujah.
Without those people, I wouldn't have the understanding or the faith that I do. A lot of my faith has a lot to do with the people that have raised me and have taught me the things as a child. When I moved up here, I'm from East Texas, and my mom and my church is down there. My family's all down there, and so I came up here to be with my dad, and so I don't really have much family here, and so I don't have a support system, and so I feel alone a lot of times. I can't just go to my mom's house. I can't just go to my brother's house, you know. And as a father, my faith's been tested. My mental state, my depression's gotten down, but I pray and I give it to God, and it is God that's doing this, because every time, even no matter how down I've gotten or didn't understand, every time I kept putting my foot forward, something opened up.
Yes.
And that's the thing is, God gives us grace even though when we don't deserve it. And I don't feel like I deserve a lot, but He's always been there for me. It's the things I've gone or built me made me the person I am, and the person as a father, and it's made me stronger with God going through this, especially alone. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell
you,
because
I lean on God when I get down like this, and I just feel peace. I know He's got me, and it just like this situation here, one door after the thing, I just kept knocking on doors, and then it's gotten me. Look at where I'm at now. I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for me putting my faith into action and believing God's going to take care of me. I just got to figure it out, and the doors will be there, you know.
Amen.
And even though I don't understand, and it's been hard, like He's been there since day one. Yeah, these doors wouldn't have opened up if it wasn't for Him. You know what I mean?
That's
if
right,
if it wasn't in God's intent for you to get through those doors, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, like all this was so random. You know what I mean? I don't know him on a personal level, but don't ever feel like you can't reach out to me, brother. You need somebody to talk to, message me, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and you can definitely tell it. You can definitely tell y'all's energy. Y'all are good people. Y'all really do care. And when you deal with people for long periods of time, and as you get older, you kind of can tell how people are, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
and you deal with a lot of people that don't really care.
Yeah, they're
they understand. They understand, but they don't really. It's not there.
Yeah.
The empathy level is not there.
Yeah.
And y'all really do care, and you could tell that. And just talking to y'all.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me, and I promise you, it means more to my kids than anything, man, because y'all taking the time to hear our story.
Yeah.
That right there, a lot of people wouldn't even take that time.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's what the truth is objective, not subjective. That's where people today want subjective. They want what fits their feelings, what fits their emotions. They don't look at the actual objective truth. It means it can be proven right or wrong. Subjective truth can't be proven. It's more opinions. It's how we feel.
Yeah.
And we should be empathetic. We should be understanding.
Yes.
Jesus was a great example of being empathetic.
Yeah.
Right.
But He also told the truth. He called people out when they were wrong. He went into the temple, flipped the table. He hung out with prostitutes, thieves, and tax collectors.
And
we're not perfect.
We're not.
We just have to be honest and truthful.
But if you look at, I don't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry, but if you look at God, a lot of people dislike God or Jesus. Jesus. A lot of people dislike that because it don't fit what they want. And when you stand for truth and for justice, the only people that are not gonna like it are the ones that are doing the bad things, you know.
Yeah.
And so when you fight evil, or when you're a good person and you're standing up for what's right, you're gonna fight evil. You know what I mean? And that's a hardship that you have to put on your shoulders when you decide you're gonna stand up for what's right. You got to know that the devil's gonna attack you. And
and I'm of the mindset. Right? I get older. It's my responsibility to set that example for my own kids.
Right.
And if I don't fight for those who can't fight for themselves, then I'm
Right.
wrong.
Yes.
And
If I just sit on my hands and I
Yes.
don't do anything, I'm wrong. I'm
Yeah.
as
Yes,
guilty
sir.
as the guy that's doing the bad thing.
Yeah.
So I don't mind hunting bad guys. I don't
Yes,
mind
sir.
hunting down people that are lost and missing.
Yeah.
Like, those are passions of mine and my teams.
Yes.
Because we understand there are people who can't take care of themselves. And yeah, I may not make any money. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to serve, and my service
right.
Yes.
is looking out for the people that can't take care of themselves.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Said,
Yes.
do unto the least of these, and you're going to be repaid that.
Right.
If you're not
Yes.
looking out for his children, I don't
Yeah.
want. I don't want that punishment.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Right?
sir.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
do what's right and what is morally and ethically right
Yes.
all the time. If I don't
Right.
live that way, if I get lax in my personal discipline, take care of myself, and I don't take care of my family and my tribe.
How do you
Right.
expect to do that for others, you know?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, it all starts with looking inward and going, how can I be the best for my kids for doing that? Telling your story.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Like I said, it's been an uphill battle, but that's a fight that I will never stop. You know what I mean? And as a parent, if anybody was going through the similar thing that I'm going through, please don't feel like you're alone.
Yeah.
There's people are going through there. Reach out, especially if it's affecting you with depression or anything like that. I do want to say, my buddy had started Stand Against Suicide years ago, and his brother had committed suicide, and he had started this to reach out and give people awareness and to be a comfort for people. And people would reach out, and you could hear, like, they would listen and help you, you know what I mean, and just be there for support. And we're actually doing a stand, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. Was at the 29th, I believe, the last Sunday of the month, at 2:00 at Tekla and 45th at Happy State Bank. And if you feel like you're down, if you feel like you're losing the battle, and you just need somebody to talk to, feel free to show up. We'll be out there for like 2 hours and 15 minutes. And we're there for the community. We have a lot of people that show up, that see us driving by, and we stop, and they just said, "Man, I needed that." Like, there's people that care, and there's people that do things to reach out, and you may just not know. And then, like I said, if I can help you with any resource or point you in the direction that you can take the next step, please reach out to me. I'm here local in Amarillo. My number is 806-542-9911. And just send me a text message, and then I'll call you back, and we'll figure it out. If nothing else, I'm here to hear you and let you know you're not in alone. We'll figure something out. And I think that's the whole purpose as human beings, is to live for God and do God's work and be there for each other, you know?
Yes.
And I think if we do that, we could change the world to a better place.
Yes.
You know?
Love the Lord thy God.
Yes, sir.
And love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes, sir. It all starts with yourself. If
Yes.
everybody worked on themselves and set their pride and ego to the side and looked at other people's perspectives and just have a little understanding of what the next person is going through, it would change a lot in the world.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. Anything else you wanted to add this evening, brother?
No, sir. I do appreciate y'all's time. I do want to touch on the WeThePeopleOrder.org. You can look that up and do some research yourself, or you could call me and we could talk about it in person. I volunteer a lot of my time. A lot of these people I talk to, I'm on disability for PTSD, and so I have a lot of spare time. And so I use that time to reach out and to make connections and try to do what I can. And there for a long time dealing with this, I've fallen back, man. It's beat me down, and I didn't do as much as I should, and I haven't been. And then going through this, and God's brought me back, and I'm still gonna fight. And so, but there's resources, you know what I mean? And you just got to know, and feel free, 806-452-9911. Give me a text or a phone call. If I don't get back with you, I will. I stay pretty busy, even though I volunteer my time, I stay pretty busy, but I'll get back with you. But please reach out. There's people that do care, and we're trying to make change, and we need others that good heart and God-fearing people that care about one another to be involved in. As a whole, we can do that.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, with that being said, this is the Where You At podcast, and we are signing out. Peace.
Where you at? Where you at? All my brothers, where you at? All my sisters, where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Where you at? Where you at? All my brothers, where you at? All my sisters, where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Where you at? Where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Where you at? Where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Yeah, I'ma meet you where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? I'ma meet you where you at? Let's go. This is the Where You At podcast.